Hi, this is Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to the construction portion of our project of the month. This project this month, since we're coming into summer and looking at picnicking and being outside, we've constructed a cover that will go over our plates to protect them from insects at the park. Now the first thing I did was I took my insect screen. Now this isn't your heavy pet screen. This is insect screen. It's a much lighter weight. And you need to cut out an 18-inch circle out of the screen. Now I use a cut around circle ruler, so you fold your fabric in half and then fold it again, and you have a line on the ruler that you lay along the folds, and then you can cut a circle depending on which one you pick. Of course, I picked 18 and just ran a rotary cutter through the slot. That's the easiest way I have found to cut a circle. You can use a large plate, a serving plate versus the plate that you're going to cover. Now I marked the center. I just put a little sticker to show me the center of my 18-inch circle. Now I've taken my hoop. I want to make sure that I cut it 2 pieces of wet and gone tacky, just larger than the hoop. And then I'm going to take the protective paper off one side of the wet and gone tacky, being very careful or it will stick to itself. Ask me how I know. And I'm going to lay it on my cutting table, sticky side up. Now I'm going to take my screen and I'm going to use my little sticker that I have on it, and I've looked on the table. I can see through my cutting board. That's the nice thing, wet and gone tacky. You can see through any of our stabilizers except for our black mesh or our black tearaway. You can see it's all opaque, so I can see the markings on my cutting board. So I have set this down on top of my wet and gone tacky, making center to center. And I have very carefully smoothed it down as I've laid it, so it's nice and flat, stuck to the wet and gone tacky. Now I've removed my little center sticker, and I have taken my second piece of wet and gone tacky, and as you can see, I've stuck the edge down, and I'm pulling the paper away and smoothing it down as I go. So in essence, what I've got is I've got a wet and gone tacky sandwich with the pet screen, or I mean the insect screen, being the meat, and my wet and gone tacky is the bread. Now that I've got that, I have folded it and kind of marked in some lines with the fold, so I could go ahead and take my marker and mark my centers on my circle. So when I hoop it, I will have it centered in the hoop. Now I've gone ahead and hooped it. I'm going to place the hoop on my machine, and I'm going to start the design. Now once I remove it from the hoop, I am going to take wet and gone tacky tape. We have a 1-inch tape. We have it actually in 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/4 inch, and 2-inch tape. But what I'm going to do is take the 1-inch tape, and I'm going to, on the very edge of the insect screen that's not already covered by the wet and gone tacky, I'm going to take the tape and put it 1/2 inch under and fold it over that raw edge on each side where the other wet and gone tacky hasn't covered the edge. The reason for this is we are going to put clear elastic. The screen is pretty soft and flimsy, and it's a little hard to work with, pulling that elastic and stretching it on the screen. Well, with the wet and gone tacky, it gives that edge just enough strength so it makes it very quick to put your elastic on the edge of this without any problems. Then of course we know the wet and gone tacky will rinse away. So I'm using clear elastic. If you can get it at any hobby store, you can get 5 yards for less than $2. But now as you see, I am zigzagging it on, and I'm stretching it as I go. I want you to pull that elastic as tight as you can, and of course it's going to gather up as it goes out the back of your presser foot. Not as much as it really will. See, the Wet and Gone Tacky is kind of holding it a little bit so that it's not so difficult for you to zigzag this around the entire perimeter of your 18-inch circle. Now tear away as much of the Wet and Gone Tacky as you can. Just pull it away carefully. And you can see I've pulled away from most of it. I still have some on the edges and in the very center. Now you're going to rinse this away. Now remember, Wet and Gone Tacky, we've got an adhesive on a water-soluble stabilizer. So we've got to put something that protects the water-soluble from the adhesive, or the adhesive would have made it go away. So we have a adhesive in there, and if you have hard water, that adhesive turns into little balls. That's the best way I can explain it. So in order to get this off easily, when you rinse it out real good, and then go ahead and put it in some water that has either baking soda, your Calgon Take Me Away. What you're trying to do is soften the water. Hair conditioner works well, just so it'll break down that glue. Now, I did that with mine, and then I always throw them in the washer. So I put it in the washer, let it go through a cycle, and I've gotten rid of all of my Wet and Gone Tacky, and I took a close-up picture just so you can see one of the designs we created stitched on this. These are very quick and easy to make. To make 5 or 6 of them very rapidly, you'll see now, is very simple. Now enjoy your plate cover to keep away your bugs on your picnics. I hope you enjoyed this month's project of the month. I hope you learned about editing and the circle tool. And I look forward to our project next month. Thank you so much.